Marts here from Explore Scientific. Thanks for joining us today on Thursday for the Amazon live broadcast. Today we're going to be doing On the Wing. I am going to be talking about binoculars. I have, since I started doing this On the Wing show about a year ago, I've really gotten back into bird watching. I'd grown up with my parents doing bird watching on weekends. We'd go on the old proverbial Sunday drive and look at all sorts of birds. I have started what's called a life list. A lot of birders start the list of birds that they record they see, and I have started that list back in the spring, and Paul's over there behind the camera making all sorts of funny things, trying to get me to laugh. There we go, Paul. So he was doing little birdie wings for the show. So anyway, went to Nebraska last week. I was not here on the Amazon broadcast all last week because I was in Nebraska for an astronomy event called a Star Party, but I also did some birding on the way up and while I was there, and on the way back I added a bunch of birds to my life list. Most of these are birds I have seen before, but a couple of them maybe when I was a kid, but I had to actually identify a few of them. And I'll tell you what they were. First, a few of them anyway. First was the eastern kingbird. We saw so many eastern kingbirds. My wife, who was with me, is not a birder per se, but she got to where she'd go, oh, there's another eastern kingbird. Oh, there's another eastern kingbird. And they were literally everywhere on the drive up, on the roads, out catching bugs in the air. Also, was driving along up in the sand hills, and they're literally giant sand dunes covered in grass, and there's no runoff, so the rain just soaks through and comes out at the bottom of the sand dunes and creates these ponds or wetland areas. Saw American white pelican in a couple of them, so really big birds. And then when we were driving home, on a different route home, because I always like to take a different route going back, looked over and said, hey, there's some pelicans. And I started looking, whoa, no, wait a minute. We saw some trumpeter swans. Now, I've seen some trumpeter swans here in northwest Arkansas where Explore Scientific is located, and they were on a Siloam Springs City Lake, a lake in a park. Used to be a water supply lake, and have seen them there, but added them to my life list. It was pretty cool seeing them on their breeding grounds. So we're going to talk about binoculars a little bit, and I'll tell you a few more birds that I've seen on that trip. These are the Bresser Specialized Kids 6x21 binoculars. This is a great pair of binoculars right here. I like them because they're kid binoculars, but they're really good binoculars. People who, when they pick them up, they will look through them and realize that these are a real pair of binoculars right here. Have glass lenses in them, glass prism, made out of metal with a plastic covering the yellow part. They have 6 power eyepieces, 21 millimeter diameter objective ends where the light comes in. Gave away a couple of these binoculars for kids who are at the Nebraska Star Party, and John Johnson, who collected up the door prizes, got these in the mail and opened them up and went, Jiminy. And then he said he picked them up and looked through them, and he was truly amazed at the quality of these binoculars, the Bresser Kids Specialized 6x21 binoculars. Comes with a neck strap, so you can put them around your neck and have a breakaway, so if they get hung on something and you fall down or pull real hard, they're going to come off to save you so you don't get hung up. My advice or suggestions, I always say, is if you have a kid in your life and you want them to be interested in birding or like sports or whatever, any application where you can use binoculars, right? This is a great pair to get them started. Additionally, I advocate buy a pair for yourself and go out. If you're doing sporting events with them, go out with them and use the same binoculars the kid's using. That'll make that kid feel special. And when you're trying to talk about what you're seeing, you're going to be seeing it the same way that your kid is. So whether you're doing bird watching, whether you're looking at astronomy, using them for astronomy, looking at stars in the sky, say, or looking at the moon, you're going to see the same thing they are seeing. It gives you the really good ability to talk about what you're seeing, as opposed to you going out using a much more expensive set of binocular. Additionally, didn't talk about this, these binoculars have a diopter. So a lot of kids' binoculars are just single focus. You focus for your dominant eye, and your other eye just does whatever it has to do. These binoculars, you focus for your left eye, and then you turn the diopter to focus for your right eye. Both eyes, both of your eyes are in focus at that point. The benefit of that is it lets both of your eyes relax because they're focused. You don't have, this is my dominant eye, so if I focus and can't change the diopter on the right eye, I focus for my left eye, and now my right eye just has to do whatever, and it's trying to do its wonder thing and focus itself and try and find some focus. That makes your eye really, really stress, makes your brain work harder, and it creates fatigue in your eyes and your brain. I don't have the chat function up, although it didn't get refreshed, I don't guess. So anyway, Paul's going
to refresh it.
Paul, well, yeah, I can't refresh it when it goes on and I'm 4 seconds in.
You can if you want.
Well, yeah, I could walk off screen and do it. So there you go. Anyway, the Bresser Kids Specialized Binoculars. Here on Amazon Live, we do have a chat function up, and we would love to hear from you. Whatever questions you have about binoculars, about anything we're talking about, or astronomy or anything else of the gear that we sell, happy to answer your questions. Really like that interaction here on Amazon Live. So over in the carousel right now, you will see these binoculars over there for, I can't see, the carousel's not popped up to a dominant item or the item we're talking about now. They're under $25 if I remember correctly. A great pair of binoculars. Pick them up, give them to a kid, and help them learn the world of birding or whatever else you're going to use binoculars. So the Bresser Kids Specialized 6x21 binoculars right here over in the carousel today.
Mike Overacker, say hi.
Mike Overacker says, hi Kent. Hello Mike. Nice to hear from you today.
He says good to have you back.
Oh, it's good to be back, but you know, if you could stay on a working vacation all the time, it would be all right too. You know, up in the sandhills of Nebraska, looking at the dark skies and enjoying non-light polluted skies is fantastic. Would have given me more time to find more birds. Let's talk about a couple more birds that I found. I was in Grand Island, Nebraska, pulled my travel trailer up there, and we were at the KOA campground, and I saw some Eurasian collared doves, no problem. Saw some barn swallows, and additionally, I was sitting there, I went, what was that? And I listened, and there was a couple of bobwhite quail, northern bobwhite quail, that were somewhere out there in a cornfield or along a road ditch. I never saw them, but I identified them by sound. That was pretty cool to identify birds by sound. I can do that with some birds. Another bird that we saw a lot of driving up there was, strangely, red-headed woodpeckers. Saw a couple of dozen on the drive from Grand Island up to Merritt Reservoir. They were on fence posts, and you don't think of a lot of trees in Nebraska, and on that drive through the sandhills, there's not a lot of trees, but there's a lot of standing dead cottonwoods. And I was trying to figure out, why are there so many red-headed woodpeckers? And they're all sitting on top of fence posts. And then they'd fly out and get a, then they don't just hammer into wood and get bugs and bark of wood. They're also a good flyer and acrobatic, and they'll go out and catch bugs, flying bugs in the air, and then go back and land. I started realizing there's a lot of standing dead cottonwood trees, and that's perfect habitat for red-headed woodpeckers. If you want to have woodpeckers, you almost always have to have standing dead timber for them to have the habitat for nesting and generally gathering food. So another one.
Kent.
Yes, ma'am.
So once you have met your life goals of seeing all those birds, are you going to try to go through and identify them by their sound?
I've already started trying to identify birds by their sounds. I did a little bit of preparation listening to sounds on the internet for birds I figured I would see, and that did come in handy. I identified an orchard oriole while we were at Merritt Reservoir. One day my wife and I went down, and you know, it's midday because, you know, we're staying up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, at least I was, and so wasn't doing any early morning birding, and walked down to the lake, and I heard an orchard oriole up in a tree. What I figured that's what it was, and went and found it, and it was about 10 feet from us, going from branch to branch, and inside the binoculars I had could close focus on them. It was really cool to get that close to a bird. And yes, as I was able to identify bobwhite quail, there are other birds that I can identify by sound as well. And in fact, that's almost the preferred way to do it, because many birds look a lot alike, but their songs are almost always different. And if you can learn to identify those birds by sound, then you're going to be able to discern, okay, that's this one and that's this one, because of the calls they make. And, calls change by season. There's breeding calls and just seasonal calls. And, sometimes, like the bobwhite quail, after breeding and nesting season is over, they don't call nearly as much sometimes, and just have a sort of a chirp that they make. But I grew up here in bobwhite quail, and I was just sort of, and didn't prepare for that one, because I wasn't even thinking about that bird. Eurasian collared dove sounds like a mourning dove, but a little bit different. Eurasian collared doves have a band of feathers on their neck, and looks like a collar, and they are significantly larger than the typical mourning dove or a white-winged dove. So very easy to identify, very distinct shape, a dove-like shape, but you just learn to see them. And I've seen Eurasian collared doves for years, but since I started my life list, I hadn't written them down, but I've written them down. So I said barn swallows. Barn swallows were everywhere. Saw beautiful golden American goldfinch. Have seen them in the fall and in the winter time, but I hadn't seen any in summertime, and I hadn't written any down on my list. So I wrote the American goldfinch. The males were in astoundingly brilliant yellow color. They are a fantastically beautiful yellow, a great bird to see. So talking about pair of binoculars, we'll talk about the list. I think there's 12 on the list actually that I added. So it's pretty eventful, and I wasn't trying to do birding that much. This is a pair of National Geographic 8x42 binoculars over in the carousel right now. These are really affordable, and they're in the range of 4.5 stars on our Amazon reviews, with a bunch of reviews. We sell a lot of these binoculars. They're a great pair to start out with of a full-size, adult-size binocular. 8 power eyepieces. Remember, that's what the first number means. It's an 8. 8 power magnifies what you see with your eye, unaided eye, by a power of 8. So it's like you're 8 times closer. The other number, 42, tells you that these are 42 millimeters in diameter. That gives you an idea how much light collecting capacity they have. So you can give them a twist test. Now you don't do what Tyler did one day live on TV. He grabbed them, and Tyler works out a lot, and he twisted a pair in fact, that pair of Bresser Kid Specialized binoculars, and he popped, because he had his thumbs up here like this, and he popped one of the eyepieces off. Well, we simply put the prism back in the right place in the right way and glued the eyepiece back on. But you can break anything, and you know your strength. This is just a little twist. This is not can I twist them in two, like Tyler loves to do. Is it
Tyler proof is the question.
Is it Tyler proof? Andy says, and nothing is Tyler proof. He's proven that many times. So they don't flex. That means that the bridge part, the connection between the two halves, is solid. It's the first step in having a good pair of binoculars. Now these have twist up eye cups, a really generous large focusing knob that's easy to get a hold of with a finger, and a smooth diopter adjustment. Same thing, you're going to put them to your eyes, focus with your left eye. I never use binoculars with my glasses. You focus. I always cover up the end, because when you squint, it causes you to change your eye over here, right? Some people really, like my wife, really can't squint much. So cover up the binoculars, get them focused, and then stop right there. Then cover up your left eye, and now turn the diopter dial until, and it's getting worse going that way, so I'm going to come back this way. And I'm looking at Noah's computer over there, and he's looking at his email right now. I can even read his email from here. How about that? This is a really popular pair of binoculars, the National Geographic 8x42. They're over in your carousel right now. go over there. You can click on it. It'll take you to the page. You'll see the description. You can study it more. And order a pair today, or 2 or 3 pair. A really good way to get into a full-size pair of binoculars. Affordable entry into a good pair of binoculars. So we will talk about another pair of binocular. This is the Shasta Ridge Alpen Shasta Ridge 10 by 42 binoculars. Let me get the covers off. Comes in a nice case. I don't have the neck strap on here just because I don't. The eyepiece covers will hook on to your neck strap so you don't lose them. But before we talk about these, let's talk about some more birds. Let's see, was driving along and coming into one of the small towns and standing there pecking in the gravel on the side of the road. I gave you, it's a big bird, Annie. What do you think it was? Brown bird. Big
brown bird?
Big brown bird with a pretty tail.
A big brown bird with pretty tail. A peacock.
Nope. They're green. Not a roadrunner. Oh, much larger than a roadrunner.
Yeah, I said big.
This
A duck, I don't know.
No. They're very tasty birds.
A turkey.
A turkey. Very good, Annie. A wild turkey was sitting there. It was a hen just sitting there and I went past and saw it, and I went, that was a wild turkey. And my wife says, yes, it was. Didn't see any others there, so they may have been off in the grass, but there was a wild turkey on the side of the road in, somewhere around Broken Bow, Nebraska neighborhood. So added that to my life list. It's been years since I've seen a wild turkey in the wild, and that was really cool to see that.
Where else would you see a wild turkey?
Oh, there's been plenty. I can take you right now to a number of farms that have.
No, you said first
wild
time you've
turkeys.
seen a wild turkey in the wild.
Right. You can have wild turkeys that are tame, that are in a farmyard. Barnyard.
Then why would they be called wild?
They're still wild turkeys.
But
They're just tamed. Well, they might be called American goldfinch, but if they migrate to Costa Rica, they don't become Costa Rican goldfinches. They become
That's a very good
American goldfinches right there. So I have a friend, customer, who lives in Costa Rica, has seen our bird shows. We used a little bit of his video. He sent me a Birds of Costa Rica, a beautiful book. Thumbing through it, I'm going, wait a minute, these are all United States birds. Turns out, as I already knew, many of our migratory birds migrate to Central and South America, and many of the birds in that bird book were North American birds. However, there's a whole lot of crazy, beautiful colored birds down there because of the rainforest they have as well. All right, so saw a common nighthawk. So there were some flying around in the day, and then you could actually, it started to get dusk, you would see them at night. See common nighthawks a lot of times, like at football games in the fall, attracting bugs and flying insects into the light trap that those lights create. And the nighthawks come and feast on the buffet. Saw a ring-billed gull flying along the lake. There was a couple of them, and finally caught a good glimpse of them. Down the shoreline was a bunch of shorebirds. There were plovers of some sort. I could not get close enough because as soon as I started getting within any kind of, I can start looking at them distance, they'd just fly off in a couple of hundred more yards down the sand, and I just wasn't able to identify them. Otherwise, I could have gotten probably 2 or 3 more species in a mixed flock. As I said, the orchard oriole, beautiful bird. Trumpeter swan was spectacular seeing them just float on the pond. I wish that we didn't have to make destinations, because I would have loved to have stopped and taken pictures of these birds along the side of the road, but we had to be in certain places at certain times. One of these days I'm going to take a vacation with no agenda, so if I want to pull over and take a picture of a wild turkey on the side of the road on Nebraska Highway 2, I can do that. I'm looking forward to that.
Did you write down the mile marker so you could go back and get it for Thanksgiving?
I think it probably will have moved by then. Just thinking. I wondered about it. And you actually, Randy, raised a sort of interesting issue. I wondered, is this somebody's turkey pet or, a tame wild turkey that's walking around their yard and they call it up at night and put it up like chickens. And there was no real houses around. So I don't think it was somebody's, tame pet bird or maybe their Thanksgiving hen they were going to,
The Thanksgiving dinner ran away.
Yes, the Thanksgiving dinner that was out there strutting around the road. So I don't know, but there was no houses in close proximity. So I'm going to guess that it was a true wild turkey strutting around the wilds of Nebraska. Let's see. Oh, binoculars. Alpen, Shasta Ridge, 10 by 42. Now our Alpen binoculars go from series of least expensive to more expensive. So MagnaView, and then we get to the Shasta Ridge. These are 10 by 42s, which tells you that they have a 10 power eyepiece and 42 millimeter diameter sucking light in. I love these binoculars. This is potentially one of my favorite Alpen pair of binoculars. They're nice, compact light. The coatings on here, and by the way, the Bresser binoculars are coated. The National Geographic binoculars are fully coated, which means they have coatings on both outside and outside pieces of glass. All the Alpen binoculars are fully multi-coated and they're waterproof. Fully multi-coated means that every surface that light passes through is coated with proprietary coatings. Those coatings create sharp, bright images compared to uncoated glass. I know it seems odd that you would coat clear glass and it makes it better, but it does. There's a whole lot of science involved. Leave that to the scientists. These are fully multi-coated and waterproof, meaning you could put them underwater and go look at fish, I guess. We've actually talked about trying that with a scuba diver, but we haven't done it just for the fun of it. But, you want to protect your binoculars. They are an investment, and so you want to, not go scuba diving with them. But they're waterproof. You could down to a certain depth. But what that means is there's no water going to get inside. And this is where, jokes aside, humor aside, this is where that matters. The gas inside here, it's either argon or nitrogen, is an inert, dry gas. So when the insides of these binoculars get filled up with that inert dry gas, all the air is forced out. With that air goes all the moisture inside. So when they close them up and close the O-rings and put them together, now there's just an inert gas inside. That inert gas is dry, so you can't get any internal fogging. That internal fogging is what can ruin a pair of binoculars and make your life miserable. Yes, they're going to fog up on the outside. I can make them fog up right now. Well, if I pull it, you can probably see that right there. That has fog on it. It's going to go away. It's not going to be a problem because it's not inside. That happens inside. Your binoculars are probably shot or going to take a long time to dry out. So all the Alpen binoculars are fully multi-coated and waterproof after a certain level, after the MagnaView series. Twist-up eye cups, a nice smooth diopter, the objective, the front end where the light comes in, have these nice flip-down keepers. There's little pole points they go in right here. This allows them to keep the binocular cap covers ready to close up when you want to close them up, right? And they're always with you. And then the binoculars eyepiece covers go on right here. Comes with a fantastic case with a great strap. Oh, and I didn't show you the neck strap. I've got it back here in the box. This is a fine addition to these binoculars. This neck strap, when I was a kid, my dad had binoculars that he'd let us use, have a very thin, like a quarter-inch thin, quarter-inch wide neck strap that was made out of hard plastic. They were hot. They dug into your neck. They were miserable. This is made by nice, soft, flexible neoprene, so they're going to stretch and distribute the weight around your neck. It's going to be really nice. Has a anti-skid compound material on the back. So if you're wearing them on your shoulder, they're not just going to want to just slide off like just plastic does. These come with all the upper end Alpine binoculars. These Alpine binoculars, the Shasta Ridge 10x42s, are over in the carousel right now. If you're thinking about getting a really fine pair of binoculars and don't want to spend a ton of money, this may be the binocular for you. You can go over the carousel, click on it, and do some exploration and buy them right now if you want to. Click on it and buy them. We got a decent little crowd this morning. Nobody has given us a shout out. If you're new to the channel, this and just stumbling onto us, we're Explore Scientific, and we are a sports optics and telescope company. Binoculars, target scopes, spotting scopes, high-end telescopes, lots of STEM toys, educational telescopes, educational toys, whole bunch of stuff. If you like what you're seeing, click that follow button, and we'll see that you did it. We'll give you a shout out and thank you for it, because it means we've earned your trust, and that's what we're trying to do here, is earn your trust. We're based in the United States. We have a customer service team that answers the phones, and we offer world-class customer service to take care of your needs. So this is the Alpine Optics 10x42 binoculars. Now, the final pair of binoculars, the Alpen Teton binoculars. These have been recently re-engineered. These are 8x42s, 8 power, 42 millimeter objectives. What's the difference between these and the other 8x42 binoculars? These have an Ave Prism, A-B-B-E prism. It's a more expensive prism to make because it's a different shape and size. What it does is it gives you really bright images because of the internal frames, internal reflective surfaces are fantastic and gives you really bright views. Paul Newton, our guy that does video, was up in Iowa last year doing some video on these, and he and Rick White, our pro staff, chief pro staff member, were shooting some video. It started getting dark. The sun had already set. Paul picked up a pair and was just looking around, and he was amazed at how well he could see well after sunset. Can we do it? Yeah. All right, here we go. Here goes Rick talking about it.
Well, the deer are just starting to come out. Hi, I'm Rick White with Alpine Optics, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the new Alpine Teton binoculars.
Rewind. You're all back on, Kent.
Oh, I'm back on, Kent. There we go. Yeah, tell me when I'm coming back on so I won't be scratching my nose. That is itching. But hey.
Here we go. You ready?
I haven't sneezed yet, so there's that.
You ready?
Yep, go.
Well, the deer are just starting to come out. Hi, I'm Rick White with Alpine Optics, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the new Alpine Teton binoculars. ED glass, multi-coated lenses, magnesium body, and Ave prism. Now, people wonder, what's an Ave prism? Well, it's a longer prism, and it's a V-shaped prism that allows 94% more light into a pair of binoculars. Waterproof, lifetime warranty, doesn't get much better than that. If you're looking for a great pair of binoculars, and I mean a great pair, check out the Alpine Teton binoculars. You'll be glad you did.
Back to one. Go, one. Go.
Okay, we're back with me, I guess, now. So Annie's one of the customer service people is learning how to run the magical switchboard with miracle buttons that do all sorts of fantastic stuff. It's fun to try and learn that stuff. I'm glad I'm on this side of the camera and not over there trying to learn that stuff over there.
Watch this.
I can't see anything because it's 10 seconds behind.
There you go. Here it goes.
That's great videography right there. Let me tell you what. Okay, real quick. The Alpine Teton with Ave Prism 8x42. Heavier pair of binoculars. Have a magnesium metal case. Really comfortable in your hands. But this is a pair of binoculars that is a true investment. They're over in the carousel right now for $515.29. A weird price, but that's what it is here on Amazon today in the carousel. If you're looking for a pair of binoculars that are an investment, this is the pair for you. Look at the specs of them. Go look at other brands and compare the price with the specs, and you're going to find out the value of these binoculars compared to others. This is a fantastic price on an absolutely fantastic pair of binoculars. So we've gone to 30 minutes on these broadcasts for the time being to allow us to do some other stuff. I appreciate everybody who's been watching on the social media stream and here on Amazon Live. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you giving it to us. On behalf of everybody here at Explore Scientific, including Noah Menard over in the Karis, the Marketplace Computer Center. Wave hi, Noah.
Hi.
He went hi. And over there, Paul Newton, who's causing all sorts of problems and chaos. And Annie, who's learning how to push buttons. Well, she's always known how to push buttons. She's just learning which buttons to push in which sequence. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Tomorrow we'll be on with Focus on astrophotography. Look forward to talking to you then. Have a great Thursday, and we have an around the world audience. Some places it's already Friday. Enjoy your Friday as well. Bye-bye, everybody.